Hashem Yisborach. Yom Rishon Parshas Beshalach. Shnas Tovshin Ayin Vov Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. Yetzias Mitzraim, when we read these Parshas, when we hear about these Parshas, we have to think. There are many things that come to mind when you think about Yetzias Mitzraim. But what is the first and foremost thing that you're supposed to think?
Hashem took us out to do his Torah mitzvahs?
That's true, 100% true. No. But every time you think Yetzias Mitzraim, what's the thought?
It's the epitome of every other type of goal that we can go for. That Hashem controls every aspect.
He's been here a few years.
That Hashem
The first thing you're supposed to think is Anoichi Hashem Elokecha Asher Hotzeisecha Me'eretz Mitzrayim. You're supposed to think that Yetzias Mitzrayim is the foundation of our Emuna. That's what Yetzias Mitzrayim is about. It's the first of the Seres Hadibros. What else do we know about the mitzvah of Emuna? When you think about the mitzvah of Emuna, as its source in Yetzias Mitzrayim, what's the next thing that you think about? Like a Mordechai. Tell me you hear things, you have things inside that they tell me. You know what? When you think about the mitzvah of Emuna, what thought comes to your mind?
Hashem controls every aspect of
What comes to mind is that the mitzvah of Emuna is the foundation and the key to the fulfillment of all mitzvahs. That's based on the Gemara in Makis of Chavdalit. The Gemara over there brings down a whole series of great tzaddikim who broke down to a few numbers the foundation of the sodas, the keys to the whole Torah. And then it says, Bo Chavakuk, the Novi Chavakuk came, Ve'emidon al Achas. Like it says in the Pasuk, in Chavakuk, Tzadik be'emunosoi yichya. And you got to get this straight, boys, because this is very fundamental. You got to go get past your 5-year-old premises of Yetzias Mitzraim. Yetzias Mitzraim, the first thought, the main thought, there are many thoughts, many lessons. First thought, Emuna. Seres HaDibros. Number one. What is Emuna? Emuna is the foundation of the whole Torah. Where does it say it's the foundation of the Torah? Because it says, Be'emunasai yichya. Yichya refers, the Rishonim say, to Chaye Olam Haba. Rishonim ask a question. Why didn't he bring down David HaMelech? He says, Kol mitzvosecha emuna. I think that question is posed by Rabbeinu Bachya. In Karakemach, he says, he also said, Kol mitzvosecha emuna. But the answer is, he says, because it doesn't say Yichya. Yichya means Chaya Olam Haba. The purpose we come to this world for is to prepare for Chaye Olam Haba, and to get to Olam Haba, a person has to have Emuna. That's how you get to Olam Haba. That's the key. So Avigdor, David HaMelech said, Kol mitzvosech Emuna, but that Emuna is the key to the Chai Bahem. You have to remember that's a very important thing. Understand that Emuna is your key to Olam Haba. Now, Emuna is a constant mitzvah. Now we have to understand what that means. It's a constant mitzvah. Some people think it's a constant mitzvah that a person is able to do. He has an opportunity to have Emuna. But the emes is, that's not what it means. It means that the mitzvah of Emuna is a choiva. It's a constant obligation for a person to have Emunah in Hashem. Not only that he's able to be Mekayim it Yom V'Layla, but it's pashut the obligation of a person to live tachas this mitzvah. Now, most people think that if I subscribe to the hashkafa of Emunah, that means that I have Emunah. But there's nothing further from the truth. Because most people, if not all people, subscribe to that hashkafa, that there is a Rebbeinu Shalom, and that there's hashgacha and all kind of wonderful things, but very few people live their lives accordingly. Emuna means, and I have an obligation to be maimin in Hashem and to live accordingly. If it comes ayidei Emuna, it comes a result of that, your actions and behavior change, then you have Emunah. Radvaz writes a loshen that the inyan of Emunah is that a person should be kaveyet, establish in him, in his heart and in his mind, in his emotional dimension, intellectual dimension, tamid. So as the Michtav Melio writes, that a person who's not going to be oisik constantly to clarify and to put in his mind and heart Emunah in Hashem Yisbarach, he will not know Emunah be'emes. And he's not Mekayim the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elikech. That's a tremendous principle that comes out of Yetzias Mitzraim. So what it involves is constant exercise. So a person walks to the yeshiva and he thinks, I am able to walk only because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the koiches to walk. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give me the koiches to walk, I would not be able to walk. I'm able to think because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the koiches to think. I'm able to digest my food. Person eats and he just thinks, I'm able to digest my food because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the koiches. Person can make brachas, but most people, the brachas have nothing to do with Emuna. Person goes to the washroom and he comes out and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I acknowledge it was you who got me in and got me out. So a person has to understand that these is the obligation of constant Emuna. A person's learning and he's thinking of Akash Marashi. He says, I believe HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Chaneinu Adas. Hashem, give me the das. And you say, Efshek Hebben Zogan Azoi, and you think, oh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put that thought in my mind. HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped me think clearly. This is what the mitzvah of Emuna is. Now, the fruit of Emuna, it manifests itself uniquely through bitachon. When somebody has Emuna in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that brings a person to be boiteach in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shainim right, it says in the pasuk, Betach b'Hashem, Re'ei Emuna. If a person is Re'ei from a lashon of Roya, he shepherds. He constantly is working on Emuna in every matziv that he is in. So then he lives with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he comes to be tochen in Hashem. And Rabbi Yehuda writes that bitachon is Emuna berura. It's what bitachon is clear Emuna, and it's chizuk halev b'Yeshuas Hashem Yisbarach. It's relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'emes and finding inner peace because you're relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When Emuna is strong in the mind of a person, he goes from there to the madrega of bitachon. That's what Emuna brings him to. So whenever a person faces a challenge, he first is mechazik himself in Emuna. Hashem, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did this. Hashem knows what He's doing. Hashem my best. And then it comes to bitachon. Now, there's another way Emuna manifests itself. The Gemara in SHLITA, Daf Mem Ches, Amid Bey says, Posku Anshe Emuna. That one of the things about the Churban is that Posku Anshe Emuna. So the Gemara says, what does that mean? Posku Anshe Emuna. So the Gemara says, Amr Rabbi Yitzchak, Elu b'nei Adam, this refers to people shehein ma'aminin b'HaKadosh Baruch. Now, what does that mean? For men, people who weren't ma'amin HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how did it reflect itself? So Rashi says, people who are ma'aminim b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, levater mimemoinam. They are willingly, mivater, they spend their money, lenoi, to beautify hidur mitzvah, ulitztaka, uloitzoy shabbosas v'yamim tovim, and for expenditures of shabbosas v'yamim tovim. So Rashi tells us, you want to know what an Anshe Emuna is? A person, number one, who's willing to spend extra l'noi v'hider mitzvah. The person goes and wants to buy a mezuzah, and he says, okay, how much does a mezuzah cost? I have them for $45. Okay, I'll take that one. You know for sure that you don't believe in Hashem. Because mezuzah is a pretty big mitzvah. The Rambam says it's a mitzvah that's directly related to him. The Rambam writes that the mitzvah of mezuzah is mechazek a person in Emuna like nobody's business. And the person is not willing to get a mezuzah mehuderes. He's not willing to be mevater from his mammon lenoi. There's a person who's buying a talis, he's buying a tzitzis, he's buying a tefillin, and he buys tefillin. As long as they look like tefillin, he's satisfied. Here's a person that struggles with giving tzedakah. That's another very big place where people who lack Emuna struggle with. Or people that are moitzi, that spend for Shabbos Yom Tovim. There are many times that a person would like to buy something Shabbos Yom Tovim, he feels it's a waste of money. He's going to be frugal. They want to be frugal during the week, that's fine. But for Shabbos Yom Tovim, the person has Emuna, because it says in the Gemara, Lovu alive and eat pareya. Now all these things, it's very interesting. See, people don't realize to spend money for a hider mitzvah is not an option, it's a chiyuv. There's a Gemara Bava Kama that says that behidur mitzvah ad shlish. You have to spend ad shlish. Mikan ve'elach Mishal HaKadosh Baruch. What does that mean? Rashi like this. Listen, Rashi is above a comment. Amazing. Which if you can buy an esrig, let's say, for $30, and you can buy an esrig for a third more, you're mechuyev to spend a third more. But is that it? No. Mikan ve'elach Mishal HaKadosh Baruch. It's like Rashi. Mashe Yosef behidur. That which a person will add an expense for hider mitzvah al shlish, on top of a shlish, yifra loy HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chayiv. Hashem is going to pay him back b'chayiv. That's why if a person is chintzy on his hider mitzvah, he doesn't trust Hashem. Hashem gives him his word that Hashem is going to be Pirei Eloi B'chayiv if he spends more money for hider mitzvah. And you know what he says? I don't trust HaKadosh Baruch. That's called Pasku Anshe Emuna. Then the Gemara, Rashi says the next case he says is tzedakah. What does it say about tzedakah? Hashem says Aser B'shvil Shetis Aser. We learn it out of a pasuk that says Ubechanuni Malachi. It says Ubechanuni no bezois. Hashem says, test me with this thing. Amar Hashem tzedakah. If I won't open for you up the windows of Shemayim v'arikaisu l'chem bracha ad belidai. Yeah. A person has to understand that this is fundamental. If you remind yourself, the Tiferes is a B'chanuni, Hashem, you know, really, you're never allowed to test Hashem. There's no mitzvah in the Torah you say to Hashem, I'm going to do this mitzvah, I'm going to test you to see if you're paying. There's one mitzvah that Hashem says you can test me. And that's tzedakah. Hashem said, test me, go ahead. Test me now. Zois, I will see. No. Varikaisi lochem bracha ad belidai. Hashem said, I'm going to give you bracha ad belidai. No. Then Rashi says, next case example is Hoitzoya Shabbos Yom Tovim. Now, why doesn't the person want to spend for Shabbos Yom Tovim? Because it's cutting into his parnasa. It's cutting into a salary. But the Gemara says, Kol mezaynosav shel adam kitzuvim loy, all the mezainis that a person is going to get are fixed, except for expenditures for Shabbos and Siyam and Teifer. It's unbelievable. I mean, could you imagine if every Erev Shabbos a person was given a separate credit card? One credit card for expenses, weekly 8-day expenses, and that comes out of his own personal paycheck and bank account. And then a person is given a Shabbos credit card. Any expenditures for Shabbos, the bill does not come to your house. It goes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's house, to a Gvir's house. You think anybody wouldn't buy? No. A person, of course you'd find greedy people who'd buy whatever they want, and they'd be big chachamim. I'll buy it for Shabbos, and I'll save it for the weekday. So I'll buy 10 steaks for Shabbos, and of course he only eats one. The guy thinks a great chacham. That's typish. We're talking about a guy who's going to buy for Shabbos. He buys for Shabbos Kodesh. What would he buy nice for Shabbos Kodesh if he didn't have to pay? If he didn't have to worry about being concerned about the pay? What would he do? Would he buy a ton? What would you buy? Here's a guy I know whose wife insisted that they were struggling, but the wife wanted, the one time a week, she wanted to have a piece of schnitzel, like boneless chicken, was Friday night. And the husband said, it costs too much money. It costs too much money. And the wife once called me up and told me about it. Called the guy up and told the guy, what are you, shocked? What's wrong with you? So that's mamish directly at Soy Shabbos. It's not on your cheshbon. Even if it was on your cheshbon, you should buy it for your wife. She didn't ask for 10 pounds of boneless chicken. She asked for one piece of boneless chicken. You can't buy one piece of boneless chicken. That's a fellow who has very little Emuna. There's a Gemara that says, when it comes to expenses of Shabbos, lovu olav, I need pareya. Rashi says, what does that mean? Simcha sha'atem oisim b'shvil HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now here's a fellow who's making a bar mitzvah. He's not making a simcha for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's making a simcha for his kid, or for his family, or for his neighbors. Hashem, that's in your cheshbon. You waste your money in your cheshbon. But a person who makes a simcha for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, harei hi ma'uzchem Rashi, that's a source of strength. What does that mean? He tazor eschem, it's going to help you lishalem hakofay sechem, to pay back all the things you took on credit and all the things you borrowed for this purpose. That means if you're moister yourself for mitzvahs, and you must, in order to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's simcha should be complete, Chedvis Hashem, then to that degree, a person, Hashem becomes ma'uzchem, Hashem becomes your source of strength. It's a tremendous activist. And the way you mechazik yourself in the Emuna, it's often a chazal. Often a chazal. Often a pasukim in the Torah, about tzedakah. The person said, no, I got a heter. No. What's a pshat? It's a mamish. Here's a guy who has a little money, doesn't want to spend a nice esrog. Only 8 days. Doesn't want to buy a nice sukkah, doesn't want to buy nice talis. And the person thinks that he's being pragmatic. He's not. What he's being is, he's not being Emuna in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you spend. If you do it, here's a guy wants a nice little silver thing around his neck, because he wants to feel like he's a Chassidish Rebbe. He wants to show it. Ich bin euch a Hatsha. Once met a fellow, he had a coat, and the coat had a big fur around the collar, all the way down like this. So I asked the fellow, can I ask you a question? What is the purpose? No one else that I know wears a coat like that. They were winter coats. Why does your coat have a piece of fur all the way around the thing? No. So first you got to say, to keep warm. Also, that keeps you warm. I told him, you have fur over here that keeps you warm? What? I told him. I was trying to get him to say it. The reason why he does it is to try to be ostentatious. And the reason why he's doing it is to be a show-off. and everybody thinks of him as a show-off. People look at him and say, what a cheesy Schwarzer. That's what Schwarzers do. They wear these patent leather shoes, and they wear orange-colored polyester suits, and the jackets come down to their knees, look like a little kapot a little bit, so they look like they're mamish shtatzi chevra, and whatever. Look at them. The guy looks weird. That's not the point, my friend. You just took notice of me, right? That's my goal. But that's not what Emuna and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The main thing a person has to be motivated by is to do things for Emuna and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, there's a Gemara in SHLITA, that same daf, that says a very scary thing. We would think that once a person's a tzaddik and he lives b'tzedek, that he has Emuna. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Elazar, my diksiv, what is meant by that which it says in the pasuk? Ki mi buz liyoim ketanus. So Rabbi Elazar says the pasuk means as follows: Mi goram letzadikim. Who causes tzadikim? Sheyisbazbezu, sheyisbazbez, shulchanon la'asid love. You know, it's shaykh for a guy to be a gavaldik tzaddik and to come to the next world, and his shulchan is a shvach shulchan. He was expecting to get, he's a tzaddik, 32-seater, everybody should have an armchair, leather armchair. And he gets a folding table from Lifetime. They give him a white folding table, Lifetime. They tell him it's solid, it's a lifetime guarantee with plastic chairs. He says, what's my schar? I heard about schar mitzvos, unbelievable. Rashi says, she'ein mekablin schar sholim. A tzaddik goes through this world, and it's possible to come to the next world and not get schar sholim. And the pasuk, this is what pasuk means. Ki mi buz. Who is the one that caused? L'yoyim haba, for the day in the future. Es ha-tzadikim. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Elazar explained, I'll tell you what. Ketanus shehoya bahem. The smallness that they had inside themselves. They had ketanus. They were tzadikim. They did tshuva for their mistakes. They did everything right. But the ketanus shehoya bahem, shelo yeheminu b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They didn't believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Unbelievable. This is a peladik azach, that a person can be frum, he can be a tzaddik, and he comes to the next world, and he's going to be shortchanged. And all he's going to be told, because you lack them. And he's going to say, we don't lack Emuna. They're going to say, bring the Gemara inside. They're going to say, you remember Rashi says what Ketani Amon is? You remember Rashi says, Hider mitzvah ad shlish? Were you the kind of tzaddik who said, I'm not paying those prices for shmura matzah? I'm buying Manischewitz. I want the stuff they sell in Costco. It's a fraction of the price. It's a Hider mitzvah, it's more medugdik. Or you go to the tzaddik and he writes you out a check for $2. That's when he's in a generous mode. $2? You say, why you give such small checks? And say, because you have to be careful. I learned from Yankov Avigdor. He was chayzer al pachim ktanim. You have to be machshiv your money. Okay? And he said, so who's tzedakah for? That's what I'm about. Not to give him the tzedakah. But I'm a tzaddik, and that's not my field. That's not my specialty. Come to a tzaddik's house on Shabbos, and you see the guy's giving you paper plates that he got in a dollar store. That's the discolored ones, or the ones that just are pink, or the ones that are light blue, and you see Shabbos looks like white napkins, plastic forks. You walk in there, you say, wow, what a nias over here. You tell me you can't afford it? The guy says, no, it's not a problem, I can afford it. It's not important. I'm not a fancy schmancy guy. No, I didn't ask for you. But what about being Mesabeh to Shabbos? If somebody looked in this window and said, if Shabbos Kodesh would look in your window, would he think you're being mechaber him? Is this what your concept of being mechaber him is? I don't say you got to go all out. Of course, everybody different steiger. But does it look like even a little chasana? Does it look like a cheap bris? A cheap kiddush? What does it look like that? It looks like it's not important to you. No, but a lot of times it's like that. You know why? Because a lot of times people, they don't care themselves. They themselves don't care. Not important to them. And after me this eating, that eating, so what? I have a little plastic cup. I have to eat a plastic cup. I have to eat a glass cup. But you don't have to do it for yourself. During the week, you can eat whatever you like. You can eat cheap white paper plates. I mean, the wife puts a piece of chicken on it. It goes straight through to the table itself. And then you wonder what's leaking under the table. The wife says, it must be the chicken. Because you bought a cheap table in the first place. Okay. But during the week, during the Shabbos, but I'm simple Shabbos. Not important. I didn't say you have to go out and buy the first cut meat. It has to look like a table. It's a stickle simple Shabbos over here. And a lot of times people cheat themselves out. So Hashem says, those kind of tzaddikim, people who live like that will not get schar shali for their mitzvos. You know why? Because Hashem says, you never trusted me. I give you, this is what it says, this nerd the chiddush in this Gemara. Now let's say a person does a mitzvah. And he thinks Hashem's going to give him some schar, but the guy will tell me, Hashem's going to give you schar for this mitzvah. Mind-boggling, mind-blowing schar. And the guy says, you're not going to get it. You have Tav Emuna, you're not going to get it. For the mitzvahs you did, you didn't get shortchanged. Because a person, I told you the Ma'aseh with Chavetz Chaim, that shook me up. A fellow come to the Chavetz Chaim, and he says to the Chavetz Chaim, there's a group of people in the light who are suffering terribly financial state, and he would like to donate epis for the cause. Chavetz Chaim said, what do you have? He said, I'm willing to give away 1 day's mitzvah of tefillin. I'm donating 1 day's mitzvah of tefillin, and the schar, instead of giving me the schar, Hashem should give this group of people panos. So the Chavetz Chaim chuckled. He says, what's the matter? It's not enough. I need more. Chavetz Chaim said, I'll give you a motion. So the guy walks into the store, and he looks around and what's the cheapest thing in the store? Rock candy. Costs the smallest denomination coin. One piece of rock candy costs 1 penny. And the guy pulls out a $100,000 check. He said, can I have change? The guy's going to lift him out of town. He said, offering HaKadosh Baruch 1 day of tefillin is like a $100,000 check, and for Hashem to save that person is equivalent to 1 penny. You said the whole group of people, equivalent to 1 penny. It's nothing for Hashem to save somebody. In a group of people. That's a tefillin. That's what tefillin is worth. That's the mitzvah tefillin is worth. That's unbelievable. That's what a person has to know. That's what a person has to come to terms with. And that's what a person has to acknowledge. If a person does that, then a person is going to have Emuna, and the schar that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give us for our mitzvahs is the efshel l'tayr u'l'shayr. Hashem is a zat toiv u'meitiv. I never give a measure for the schar. And you have Emuna in HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he's the best employer out there, best business, the best benefits, the best everything. And then a person machaz himself in his Emuna, and then a person comes to have a shaykhus to Yetzias Mitzraim.